Hello, this is Michael Paul with the New Orleans Scottish Rite College. I'd like to do a video today on what is hands down the most common email that I receive. It will be from a Mason, usually a young Mason, who is disappointed about some aspect of his lodge or his valley or his chapter, or really any Masonic body. Many times they seem totally disillusioned as they viewed Freemasonry one way before joining, but now they find it, after they've joined, to be something completely different. The particulars vary from case to case, but they all are very unhappy, disappointed, and unsure of what to do next. In one email that I received recently, the brother said that he feels trapped. He studied about Freemasonry before he joined, but after joining he found it to be, in his words, an old man's social and charity club. They were nice guys, but this was not the organization that he wanted to join or believed that he was joining. At first he thought that he was just wrong about the nature of Freemasonry. In fact, the guys in his lodge even told him that the problem was that he should not have read anything about Freemasonry before he joined. Maybe they were right. But then he started reading things from other Masons online in different places that were exactly in line with what he originally believed of Freemasonry. Why wasn't this the Masonry that was practiced in his lodge? The young Mason did try to change things in his lodge. He wanted to try and improve the Masonic experience, but he hit a brick wall. No one enjoyed the lectures that he tried to give. He had an idea for group book reviews of various Masonic books. No one showed any interest. No one liked group discussions in lodge on Masonic symbolism, history, or anything else having to do with Freemasonry. No one was at all interested in changing anything about the routine of opening, minutes, bills, event planning, and closing. He began to be viewed as the problem. He lost interest and attended fewer and fewer meetings. He was criticized then for not supporting his lodge. He felt guilty and tried to again be active. But still, there was nothing there in the lodge for him. The same old problems existed. He tried to create programs and develop new ideas, but nothing he did changed anything except his reputation. He became known as the troublemaker. He wasn't part of the team. He didn't seem to care about them or what they wanted. No matter what he did, he was disappointing someone. He was different. He was criticized when he attended. He was criticized when he did not attend, and nothing that he did could change anything. What was he to do? This was the same theme over and over in email after email from so many different Masons. There were profound feelings of hopelessness, disappointment, and frustration, and I mean about Freemasonry. And these were sincere Masons who clearly and deeply cared about Freemasonry. What are we doing to these young Masons? What the hell is going on? I'd like to present something now to think about that's been around for several thousand years. It could be of some help. There was this philosopher by the name of Plato. He wrote many things on human nature and our desire to understand life and all aspects of it. He wrote something that he called the Allegory of the Cave. Plato said that he wrote it to compare the effect of education and the lack of it on our nature. I'd like to look a bit at this allegory. Plato tells us that once there was this dark and damp cave way up in the mountains where a handful of prisoners had spent their entire life chained together. They had never been outside the cave and had no life experience of not being chained together there. They sat facing a blank stone wall. The chains prevented them from even turning around to see anything behind them. This limited existence in the dark cave was all that they had ever known since birth. Behind them, and unseen by them, was a raised walkway leading into and then out of the cave. Travelers often walked through the cave, or they came in wagons leading animals of all sorts and carrying tools, vessels of water, and other things. Beyond and above this walkway was a large flattened area near the back wall of the cave. A large fire was always kept burning in this area to give light to the people walking by. But while the prisoners could never see the people or animals walking by, the light did create shadows on the wall in front of them. The prisoners saw only the shadows of everyone and everything that passed behind them. Since birth, they grew up seeing only these shadows passing on the wall in front of them and hearing the muffled voices of people. Never had they seen or known anything else. Over time, they began to view the shadows as real. They studied the shadows on the wall and believed that if they could understand the shadows, they could understand life. They didn't realize that what they were looking at was only phantoms, a distorted reflection of reality. They talked often about the various shadows and took great pride in their ability to quickly identify images that they saw. This was how they lived, and they had no reason to believe that the world or anything about life was other than the shadows on a wall. Now a day came when one of the prisoners broke free and escaped. He managed to climb out the cave and made his way to the outside world. When he reached outside, he was blinded by the bright sunlight. He couldn't see anything, but in time his eyes began to adjust. He began to see the outside world. He was in awe. He began to see the true forms of all the people and things that he had known before only as shadows. He began to see all the colors in the world and the true shapes and nature of all things. He was overjoyed at this new knowledge. All that he had been denied since birth was now made clear. Out of a feeling of compassion, he had to run back to the cave to share the truth about the world to his friends. He wanted to help them as he knew that they had been in a state of confusion and error as to the true nature of the world. He made his way back into the cave, but it was difficult as his eyes had already adjusted to the outside light. The sudden darkness of the cave blinded him. He stumbled down into the cave where his friends were located. He made his way to his friends, blinded, stumbling around, but very excited. Seeing him stumbling around and hardly able to see, his friends believed that he had somehow injured himself in his attempt to leave. The man quickly tells them that the world was nothing at all like they knew. He told them that everything that they believed and that they thought they knew was wrong. He told them of the true nature of the sun, the trees, the animals, and all that they had only known as shadows. The prisoners were in shock. They were being given information that was outside of everything that they had ever known in their existence. And the one giving them all of this unbelievable information could clearly not see well. He could hardly see the shadows that they could see so well. They dismissed everything he said, believing that he was only trying to upset or make fun of them with his lies. They grew more and more angry at all that he was saying. Finally, they told him that if they could, they would kill him if he kept up trying to make fun of them with his lies. Plato explained that the allegory of the cave is the story of all enlightened people. The prisoners in the cave are those who are without enlightenment, lost in a confusion of errors. The alienation of the former prisoner, returning to them with the truth, is what can be expected for all those who bring the truth to those who are not ready to hear it. For Plato, so many of us live our lives only in the shadows, because for those without a knowledge of the truth, the shadows are accepted as the truth. Many of the things that we hold of value, such as fame, power, rank, riches, are closer to the shadows than we may imagine. They are, for the most part, illusions of reality, just as the prisoners saw only the illusions of the reality of all life in the shadows of the cave. But because everyone around us tells us that the shadows are real, we believe them. We are being taken in by our own lack of knowledge and the appearance of knowledge of others. But it's not really our fault, as we were taken in early on and none of us ever wanted to be in that cave. It's just that this is where we happen to begin our experiences. But if, like the freed prisoner in the story, you bluntly tell others that they are wrong and that they don't know the truth, you risk a backlash of anger and offense. Your intentions will be questioned, and you will be seen as the one who seeks to create only problems. Do you see the parallel to Freemasonry's education problem? Plato explained that the only way to bring truth to those who are blind to it is by a slow process of education. You must not try to force education on anyone. You must not challenge the life experience of anyone or bluntly tell them that they are wrong. In Masonry, it means that those who have spent the last 10, 20, 30, or more years in club Masonry truly and honestly believe that what they know is actual Freemasonry. It's all that they have ever known, and they may have spent enough time in this type of shadow Masonry to have risen in rank and authority. The only way to help such Masons in such a situation is to make actual Masonic education available to them in small doses and with a clear attitude of modesty. One method is to ask for the help of one of the leaders in your lodge or other bodies. Let them know that their rank and many years of experience is needed by you to assure a quality program. Present ideas for education and solicit advice from them. Then together, investigate the answers. Many times these Masons will be very confident, or really overconfident, and tell you that the answers to your questions are really very simple and everyone already knows all of the answers. You must be very patient with this sort of bravado. It is a fact that while Freemasonry teaches the suppression of ego, many at all levels have an abundance of it. To challenge individuals who honestly believe that they are right and who have fragile egos, along with overconfident self-opinions, can bring about angry and hostile reactions. You must be very patient and willing to go over the same question many times. It's best not to challenge, but question in a manner to seek clarification and not correction. It may require many meetings and an abundance of patience. Use noted Masonic figures or books in your questioning. You can say, Albert Mackey wrote this, or I read this in this book, and then ask them, what does it mean? The sources that you are citing will be the corrections that the one you are dealing with needs, but by presenting it as clarification, it allows them to rethink the situation themselves and reach a change of opinion on their own, rather than having the correction forced on them by you. It preserves their ego and avoids conflict. I know that this is really handling the other, but if the greater good is desired, then many times we need to swallow our pride. The goal is to be of real service, not to feed your own ego. There is, of course, the point of no return, and this is one of the most difficult aspects of Masonic education. Plato believed that ignorance is a place from where we all start off. It's not our fault, but it is simply how we begin. For far too many lodges, the teachings of Freemasonry have long existed in the lodges, but just like an exercise bike in a home that is unused. It's there, but if we don't use it, it's just a room decoration. Many Masons, many good Masons, live their lives in Masonry, never learning the teachings of Freemasonry. Generations of Masons lived and died with their Freemasonry being little more than a charity club. There is nothing that we can do about that or about the past. There is also nothing we can do about the fact that we only have a finite amount of hours on earth to do whatever good we choose to do. We have to realize that if we spend all our time to help one Mason or one lodge doggedly stuck in the cave mentality, the club mentality, then we may simply not succeed and may fail to help others who can be helped. It's a horrible position for any caring person, but in wartime or disaster medical practice, it's known as triage. It's when you have to evaluate the situation and know who to help first. To choose wrong may mean that you end up helping no one. No matter how much it may tear you up inside, you must know when it's time to walk away. Freemasonry is a system of morality, veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols. Most all Masons have read or heard this. Many don't understand it. Those who have made their way out of the cave of ignorance have a responsibility and duty to the teachings which they have found light. You must try to help others find the same light. Yes, there is a danger. There is a danger that your efforts will not only not be appreciated by many, but you may also be criticized for your efforts. In fact, you could be ostracized, shunned, and spoken about in the most unfriendly terms by some. You may be seen as the source of all problems and nothing in the way of a true Mason. I promise you, that's okay. Don't let words or actions sway you from doing what you know is right. Your job is not to placate the ones stuck in the cave, believing truth to be the shadows. Your job is to be a Freemason. Your job is to share the light, however, wherever, and whenever you can. If doors close to you, then find new doors. In times of war, things do not always go well. True heroes may die. Life does not guarantee happy endings. Doing all you can in every way that you can may result in your being viewed as no more than a troublemaker by those who once called you brother. None of that matters. Freemasonry is what matters. Did things go well for Hiram? Well, that depends on how you view the word well. We all live and die. Hiram died a true Mason. One day, long from now, you should do the same. Keep in the light. Share the light. Thank you for watching. If you like the videos, please hit the like button and subscribe to us. See you next time.